Dream to become the next Sir Isaac Newton or Albert Einstein? Learn calculus from Refath Bari, aka 800/800 guy, is teaching calculus this year. Watch his videos.
Alright folks, what's up? This is another episode of Calculus. Today we're going to be looking at more rules with derivatives. And today we're going to be trying to prove this rule. The rule that states that the derivative of the sum of derivatives, the derivative of the sum of two functions is equal to the sum of two derivatives. Okay, so how do we start proving this? Well, keep in mind that derivatives in essence are limits, right? So your goal is to rewrite this somehow using limits. So let's do that. Let's rewrite this derivative using the limit definition of a derivative, which is the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x over h, right? You probably gotten tired of saying this, but this is the limit definition of a derivative. Now how do we apply it over here? Well, in this case, let's call our function, I don't know, k of x, right? K of x is equal to f of x plus minus g of x, right? And we want to find the derivative of k of x. So our goal is to find k prime of x. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to do this. The limit as h approaches 0 of k of x plus h minus k of x all over h. So we know that k of x is equal to f of x plus minus g of x. So when we write k of x plus h, we can simply write that. So the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h plus g of x plus h minus what? F of x plus g of x, all divided by h. Okay, so now all we have to do is simplify, right? Let's simplify this. We have the limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h. Let's distribute this negative here, so that we get minus f of x plus g of x plus h minus, this should be a plus minus g of x plus h minus g of x all over h. Now, it's crucial that you remember one of the rules of limits, which is that the limit of two sums is the sum of two limits, right? So let me write that over here. This is an important limit rule. The limit of a plus b as, h approaches 0 is equal to the limit of a as h approaches 0 plus the limit of b as h approaches 0. We're going to derive that later on, but we're going to use this fact to help us simplify this. How? Well, let's bring this over here. Let's rewrite this in the form of two fractions. The limit as h approaches 0 of f of x plus h minus f of x over h, right? That's this part. That's this left-hand side. Plus minus g of x plus h minus g of x. Don't forget the divided by h part. Okay, now this is where our limit rule over here comes in handy. We know that the limit of a sum is equal to the sum of a limit. So here, the limit as h approaches 0 of the sum of these two fractions is going to be the sum of two limits as h approaches 0 of these fractions. So let me show you what I mean. So we can actually break this apart into two limits. The limit as h approaches 0 of the left-hand side, which is f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h, plus minus the limit of the right-hand side, the limit as h approaches 0 of g of x plus h minus g of x all over h. And now this is where our intuition and prior knowledge comes in handy. You've seen this basically a million times, right? This is simply the limit definition of a derivative. And in fact, it's simply the derivative of f of x. Same thing on the right hand side. This is simply the derivative of g of x. And thus, we can actually rewrite this with even better notation. D of dx of f of x plus d over dx of g of x. And we have just proven that the derivative of the sum of two functions is equal to the sum of the derivative of the two functions. Alright folks, so thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.
To fall in love with math and science, especially programming.